You've noticed it too, right? Everyone and their mothers in 2025 seems to be running a marathon, whereas 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that was never a thing. For my parents' generation, it was pretty rare to find someone who had run a marathon in their workplace or who they'd been to school with. However, now, if you go into your office or even just a cafe, there's a high probability that I'd say 40 to 50% of people in there have probably ran a marathon or have now signed up to do one. We've just had the London Marathon, the Manchester Marathon, and the Boston Marathon. We're in marathon season, and basically my whole Instagram feed has been full of people doing them, which gave me FOMO, but I did do Barcelona Marathon last month. So I did a video on that as well, actually. I'll put a link to it somewhere up here. So go and check that one out if you haven't already. But let's get into why. Why now? Why 2025? Why is marathon running becoming the norm? Because running 26.2 miles, 42.2 kilometers, that's not normal. There's a fable for the first ever marathon. I think there's a guy called Philippides, something like that. I'll put him on screen now. He ran in ancient Greece from a battle from the town of Marathon, which is why the marathon is called the Marathon, to Athens to tell his leaders that something had happened in the war. I don't know, something like that. It's probably not true anyway. But he died at the end of running that, which is crazy. It's not normal for people to do that. But now we have super shoes, we have fueling, we have, well, people know that you have to hydrate. That's probably one thing. We have gels. We have so many things that make running a marathon accessible to the normal person. But today I'm jumping into 5 big reasons why more and more people are running marathons, and it just does make sense. According to World Athletics, over 1.3 million people ran a marathon in 2023, and that's just people doing it as part of a mass event. There'll probably be more people doing it not as part of big events. And that was 2023, so 2 years on, I wouldn't be surprised to see that being like 2 million or something. Major races like London, Boston, New York are almost impossible to get into. I've tried to get into London for the past 5 years in the ballot. No luck. But basically, mass participation events like the marathon and every running race length distance is booming now since 2020, since the dreaded C word. I myself got into running during lockdown. I'll probably do another video on that soon. I couldn't do anything else. I like to go into the gym, I like playing sports like cricket, football, but they just weren't options. We had like an hour a day that we could go out and do exercise, so I was like, I might as well go on a run. And I almost guarantee I'm not alone with that. I reckon millions and millions of other people would have got into running due to lockdown. As well as it being basically the only thing you could do apart from maybe a HIIT workout in your back garden, people wanted something to work towards. People wanted big goals, something to train for. I don't know, maybe a bucket list item to check off. When I first signed up for the Manchester Marathon in 2023, I just wanted to do a marathon in my lifetime. And maybe it's because it had something to do with people being locked in and maybe life feeling a bit more precious that you wanted to tick off big bucket list items like that, that signing up to a marathon became less daunting and more achievable. People wanted to be proud of themselves and proud of others and to build a community, and lockdown was the catalyst for that. Or perhaps lockdown was the cause and social media was the catalyst. Which is point 2, let's be real, running is more visible than ever. Back in the day, if someone went on a run, no one would know about it really, apart from your family or people that you lived with. Now, things like Strava, there's a whole social media just for running. Well, you can do cycling and all sorts on it, but mostly it's for running. We're not just running, we're sharing the journey with our friends, with random people that follow us on Strava, with athletes, with family online. People are checking speeds and distances and elevation and everything that... It's all just on your phone now, it's on this. I can check what my friend did this morning in his 5K. The likes, the Strava kudos, the medal selfies, it all adds fuel to the fire. And there are loads of people who have become running influencers in their own right. The kind of influencer that didn't even really exist before lockdown. Of course there were fitness influencers, but the amount of running influencers specifically has ballooned in the last few years. And I follow a lot of them myself. It's great content. It's the best and cheapest way to learn about running because there is so much to learn, whether that's about training, about shoes, about nutrition, about whatever it is. You don't have to pay a really expensive coach anymore. You can just watch loads of YouTube videos, and if you're interested in it, you will watch those videos naturally, and you'll learn and grow more, and the more that you see it, the more it becomes part of your world and the community that you engulf yourself in. There are so many running clubs now. Most cafes in local villages have their own running club, that they run a 5K and it ends up at the cafe afterwards so you can buy a flat white. Genius! Genius idea. But even running clubs like in Manchester, where I live in the UK, there's one called Snappy Runners, Made Running. They're basically like mini businesses in their own right. I can guarantee now, if I go on Instagram and scroll for 15 to 20 seconds, I'll probably see a piece of running content. One, because the algorithm knows that that's what I like, but Two, that's just how commonplace it is now. The more and more you see something, the more you'll likely want to do it. That's like when people say you try to make a habit out of something like going to the gym or going on a run. Social media has allowed that to become an easier place in our lives, and that is the catalyst of why running and marathons has become such a big thing recently, and it's only going to get bigger. Number 3 is that running is more inclusive than ever. You see people running all shapes and sizes, all ethnic backgrounds. There's still a lot of work to be done in that, of course, but I'm pretty sure up until the 70s or 80s, I'm not quite sure on the exact number, I'll put it here somewhere or something, if I find it when editing this video, women weren't even allowed to run in the London Marathon, or any marathon, I think. I think they were only allowed to run up to a certain distance of like a couple of miles because it was detrimental to their health. Now, the London Marathon 2025, 49% of participants were women. How incredible is that? But apart from the gender split, it's more accessible just for the everyday person as well. Running used to be a thing for athletes, for elite athletes. Why would you run if you weren't running for Great Britain? Why would you run if you weren't part of an athletics track team? It just wasn't the done thing. Whereas now in 2025, it's so much more casual for you to have a conversation with someone at the pub about a 10K that they did earlier in the day. So it's shifted from an elite, specifically male-dominated sport to being an every person's sport, which is amazing. Point number 4, it's not just about physical fitness, it's about mental fitness as well. One of the main reasons why I love running personally is the mental health benefits that I get from it. If I'm having a stressful day, or I just need to calm myself out, or maybe even sometimes think things through, I'll go on a run. It's one of the best ways for me to be relaxed. And I often find myself, if I don't do sport or exercise in general, but a run specifically, getting super fidgety and agitated towards the end of the day, or if I have to sit in an office for a number of hours. If I've been for a run at lunchtime or in the morning, I'm so much more calm to just chill and sit at a desk for a while. In a survey done by ASICS, 82% of people surveyed said that running helped their mental health. And I'd argue that that stat is probably low because some people might not want to speak about mental health, which is, there's still a stigma about that we need to try and get rid of. The endorphins, the personal breakthroughs when you beat a PB, or sometimes you just go out on a run and it's just an amazing, lovely sunny day and you just feel grateful for being able to go on a run. I've cried multiple times while being on a run. I've cried after 2 of my 3 marathons, and men, boys, it's okay to cry. And I've cried just on a random run along a canal as well. Like, I don't even know what brought it on, just the endorphins, the runner's high. And the more and more you run, it seems like the less you possibly get runner's high. Like, you have to do more to get it. It's like a drug addict trying to chase the drug high. But it's so good for your noggin. Running can also give people structure in their day or week, which a lot of people need, and sometimes even a sense of identity that people might need to give themselves self-value. Basically, running is good for this and for your physical health. And the more that mental health is being talked about in the modern world, the more people realize that things like running are excellent for that, and it's okay to be struggling mentally. There are many, many ways that you can help yourself. And number 5, running and races in particular are more accessible than ever. I touched on this briefly before when I talked about running being an elite sport for elite runners and athletes in the past, whereas now the average person can do it. But even just things like, say, if you signed up for a marathon today, there are so many resources online that you can find to help you train for that, whereas in the past, that they just didn't exist. You'd have to speak to a coach, spend loads of money on a coach. If you were perhaps overweight, you might feel self-conscious that you don't want to do that. Whereas today, you might go on something like Couch to 5K and you can slowly build yourself up. You can join apps like the Nike Running Club, Runner, that I've done another video on. Is it worth it? I don't know. Click here. The training plans are smarter. People know more about the nutrition and the fueling that you have to do, the pacing that you have to do, all those kinds of things. The science has come on so far that it's no longer I can't run a marathon, I'll never run a marathon for the average person. It's when will I run my first marathon? And I know I touched on it a little bit before, but even just following YouTubers that make running content makes running so much more accessible. I watch people like Philly Bowden, Ben is Running, Ben Parks, The Running Channel. All of these are fantastic places to go and watch running content that makes it accessible and means that more and more people will be doing marathons. So yeah, maybe it does feel like everyone's doing a marathon these days and your social media feeds are full of people biting their medals. I think that's kind of beautiful. I love running, I love the running community, and I'm so glad that I started running in lockdown, and I've run 3 marathons now. I've got a half marathon in a month, and I'm going to try and beat a PB, possibly go for 1:35. I've said it out loud now. That means I've got to do it. But yeah, for the 5 main reasons that I've said in this video, that is why running is exploding and why everyone in 2025 seems to be running a marathon. Have you thought about running one, or have you run one recently? Let me know what you did, or what time you got, or how you enjoyed it, or where you went in the comments below. If you've got a particularly good story, I'd love to hear it. Thank you very much for watching this one. I'll hopefully be doing more content like this as and when I can, so thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, hit the like button. If you got to this point, subscribe for more. I'll see you all on my next one.